has chosen his Eagle advisor, Mr. Terry W. Riley, to speak on his behalf about his scouting trail towards the rank of Eagle.
And hopefully here's where it stops getting a little bit serious into a little bit more fun when we start talking about these guys. Well, Will's start in Troop 390 was kind of a little bit rocky. His first Scoutmasters Conference lasted about an hour and a half. Now that was just to obtain the rank of Scout. How many of you have got the rank of Scout? We've got one young Scout here. He just got a Scout rank about, what, a week and a half ago? Raise your hand there. Yeah, a week and a half ago. He's going to get his scarf at next week's Board of Honor. He did a great job. He did that 2 weeks ago with me. Well, Will's problem was he didn't realize, although he knew all of the requirements, he didn't realize that he had to get them signed off by an older Scout. Okay? So he just went with Mr. Brady. He signed them off himself, right? Mr. Brady sat with him for an hour and a half going over them. Now, I don't know, nowadays, Mr. Brady would just send them back to an instructor. I don't know if Mr. Brady was just a little softer then, or if he has better instructors now and says go back to the instructors. But, you know, look at him now. 5 years later, here's his Eagle Scout. So there's hope for you all now. And, you know, we were just as clueless as everybody else 5 years ago. So, you know, there's hope. But once in the troop, Will was put in the Eagle Patrol. And Terry was in the Eagle Patrol as well. And they must have had maybe 2-3 patrol meetings, you know, over the course of a year. And that was a little disconcerting for his parents, you know, because there's no patrol meetings going on. But we soon found out that most of their advancements, you know, happened really on the monthly troop outings. So that was another lesson learned. You know, patrol meetings sometimes don't happen, but the monthly troop outings always do. And that's really where they get signed off. Camp Marie was one of Will's first outings, and Will went on one, it was Camp Marie, and he came back so excited. And why was that? Well, he went with it on Neil Hopper, a scout named Neil Hopper with the Eagles. And Neil introduced them to a new snack, Oreos with cheese bits. Now, you know, how can you not love that? Oreo with cheese bits. So from that point on, he was pretty hooked. He was hooked. But Will had some demons to deal with. Now, I don't know, and forgive me, Will, but you see, Will was claustrophobic. So imagine this, a 10-year-old kid who's claustrophobic. He desperately wanted to be a scout, do all the things a scout did, go camping, go hiking, but he absolutely, positively could not sleep in a tent. Okay? He was definitely afraid of sleeping in a tent. So what does he do? He tells the other scouts that he wants to sleep outside under the stars. Okay? So after doing this a few times, word gets out that Will's a pretty cool guy. He likes to rough it. So, you know, little did they know the true story. He's grown out of it now. And in fact, he sleeps, truth, he sleeps in a converted closet right now. It's true. He sleeps in a closet. It's a big closet. They got an old house. He sleeps in a closet. But in the early years, strange occurrences seemed to follow Will Hare. Like the time on his first ski trip. Now check this out. As a second-class scout, first ski trip, he gets heat exhaustion. All right? He's bundled up too tight, you know, not drinking enough water, in the hot Sierra sun. He gets all the symptoms, right? Scouts, you guys know it. Puking in the snow, heavy sweating, ashen appearance, rapid, weak heartbeat, cool, moist skin, right? Heat exhaustion. But he perseveres, and he went every year since. Yes, Will dances, you know, to a beat of different drums at times. One of his first merit badge was the pet merit badge. Now, how many of you got the pet merit badge? Raise your hand. Okay. What was your pet, Andy? Green water dragon was pretty cool. What about you? Basset hound. Okay, dog. You know what his pet was? Snail. Right, a snail. Well, I've got the pet care merit badge book here. All right, requirements 4A. Train your pet in 3 or more tricks or special abilities. Stay. You know, what'd you do? Now, I don't know why you chose a snail. But no, truth be told, page 34, they do talk about snails. There's a picture of a snail here. Now, I know why he chose snails. It says, snails also will help with house cleaning. It says right there. So that's probably why Will chose the snail. But as Will got older, his thirst for adventure grew. And in the summer of 2005, he went to Alaska. And he actually made it into the Arctic Circle. He remembers that as a pretty awesome trip. In fact, his whole family went. His mother and his father and his younger brother. Later that summer, we went to the Boy Scouts of America's Florida Sea Base. We sailed around the Florida Keys for 5 days. Prior to going on the sailboat, we spent a couple of days doing some pre-sea base sightseeing. We stayed at in South Beach, Miami. Yes, that's South Beach. So I did my best to keep us at the family-friendly parts of that beach. But indeed, some points during our trip, some of the European flavor did walk by. And I see Todd Trevison even blushing thinking about those moments. But thong bikinis and Boy Scouts, what a mix. He does remember that as one of the more unusual and exciting Scout trips. But he did have a sense of accomplishment going back to Bellarmine, and the teachers and students asking him, so what'd you do in the summer? And him saying, well, you know, I went to Alaska, I hiked on glaciers and went into the Arctic circles, and then I went down to Florida Keys and sailed. You know, so he must have been pretty proud. Must have been pretty proud. But as his Eagle advisor, I spent about 2.5 years with Will, watching him, advising him on his quest to become Eagle. In planning his project, he quickly learned that, you know, people don't return phone calls, even when you're offering to provide them with free projects and time. He found that, you know, waiting for them to return calls just kind of wasted times. But he persevered, and he got the project that he was destined to have. He led 18 volunteers to recreate the original Black Oak Spring Trail at Henrico State Park. And he was quite generous to his volunteers. We each got a gift. He gave us one of the flags that was used on the trail. He even said, I worked on Will Hare's Eagle project, and all I got was this stinking flag. So it was quite, thank you, Will. I'll cherish this forever. But through it all, Will had a plan. He had a plan to become Life Scout before his high school application was due. He had a plan to get his Eagle project done his freshman year so he could concentrate on his studies as school got a little more challenging. He had a plan to become Eagle Scout before Philmont this summer. And most importantly, he said he had a plan to become Eagle before Terry. And speaking of Philmont, one last story. They train you that the bears in Philmont are just as kind of afraid of hikers as you may be of the bears, and that you should kind of gather in a group and kind of move for them and make some noise. And it just so happened they kind of stumbled across one of the bears on a trail. And sure enough, everybody stops. All the adults take their cameras out and start click, 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 start taking all the pictures. And you know, the bear's just sitting there. Pretty soon, after a while, cameras get put away, and the bear's still there. Well, Will says, okay, you know, on the count of 3, let's go. 1, 2, 3, and starts walking. Well, you know, like that cartoon where there's a whole line of people and only one person goes? Well, all of a sudden someone says, Will, stop! And he turns around and he's the only one walking. The kid is fearless. Some say it's only an adventure that people succeed in knowing themselves and in finding themselves. I think Will has truly found himself. He is an Eagle Scout.